Hey everyone, this is Heather again, and this is going to be another video in our weekly series on stocks recap on weekly basis. So let's just dive right in. So looking at the stock market summary, we can see that on Friday markets were slightly bearish. So SPY, QQQ, and IWM all went down a little bit, about 0.5%. Let's say so we had from 418 to 414, 330 to 326. So about a $2 to $4 loss on Friday. So markets were slightly bearish. The hottest sector was financials, and then we have some biggest movers here that I won't go into, but we had some pretty interesting largest block trades. So we had a large block trade of $35 million for Snow, then we had one for $64 million for RTX, and then we also had one for about $22 million for Uber. So we are going to take a look at these three, and then we'll move from there. On the market prediction side, the AI thinks that the next week markets are going to be slightly bullish. So QQQ is actually very bullish, but SPY and IWM are sort of somewhat bullish. So hopefully in the next 2 or 3 days we'll see the price going up. Maybe 1 or 2 days we go down, but overall next week the tools are slightly bullish in the market. Other than that, we don't have anything interesting here. So let's jump right into the analysis. So as usual, we are going to open up with SPY. We can see that again, the short volume is slightly increasing, but there are no large block trades. This is pretty average, so we'll just dive right into the price action. So on the price action side, we have this beautiful double bottom where we can see that we dipped twice on that price, and now that price was also 50 moving average, and we're just going up from it. So that's good. One thing that we'll have to keep an eye on is this resistance level. We need to cross it. We crossed it once, but that was a fake out because the very next day we went back down. So we will need to cross it again, and that might be another decent bullish setup once we actually cross this level. Other than that, there is nothing interesting here. Let's see the intraday data. So again, the 1 hour chart, we need to actually cross this level right about here before we actually, let's say, have another good bullish rally, because until we do that, we have just been consolidating in this region, and we don't want to do that. Let's take a look at QQQ. It's a very similar setup on QQQ. Let's see. So on QQQ, we actually had a beautiful trend line here, and we have been respecting this trend line for quite a while. This was the fourth time we touched it. And other than that, we had two beautiful green candles, and then we had a red candle again. So again, since we are right in the middle of, let's say, both moving averages, we have a resistance line somewhere around here, but there's no clear path for QQQ right now in terms of technicals and price action. We want the price to move. Let me zoom. We want the price to move in these smooth uptrends, but right now the price is actually being a little bit choppy. As you can see, the price went down, up, but we couldn't break out of here. This formed a support, but then we just broke down again and we went back, and then this line has been respecting as a support. So one thing that I don't like seeing here is on this sort of this bottom, or on these red candles, the volume was very high. So you can see that on this red candle, look at the volume. It was the highest in the last, let's say, couple of weeks. I don't usually like seeing that. I've said this in many other videos as well. I don't like seeing large amounts of volume on red candles. So that's a concern that I have. The AI thinks that markets are sort of short-term bullish, but just know that there was a lot of volume on the red candle just a few days ago. I really like to see that the volume on this green candle was good. That just means that bulls stepped in here and sort of made the price respect this support level. So that's good, but we still want to sort of settle somewhere before we do another rally. We have this resistance level right around here, so just keep an eye on this until we break it. I wouldn't say there is a good setup here. We have this loose sort of resistance level as well. Let's hope even if we fall to this level before we start going up again. But this is still quite choppy market, so there are no clear setups on these market indices, but I still want to just discuss my thoughts. Let's take a look at IWM. And again, you can see we had this nice uptrend, but now we are just consolidating. We keep going up and down, and the consolidation here is actually pretty nice. We can see we have this nice support level, and then we have this nice resistance level. So right now we are right in the middle of these levels. And so yeah, we just want to wait until we break out of this consolidation either to the upside or to the downside. Once we do that, we'll have a more clear trend. But right now we are in a consolidation phase. All right, nothing interesting there. So quickly I'm going to go over the three largest block trades that we found on our stocks market dashboard and see how some of those setups are looking. So for Uber, we can see, I'll just draw these lines. So we had a support line here, but Uber has actually been having a lot of block trades in the last few days. So you can see this huge uptick in the amount of block trades. Now we don't know if those are bought or sold, but since we fell right on a support, and even right now we are on a support level, we are going to assume that those were, let's say, bought positions. This assumption could be wrong, but we still want to make an assumption in order to make our analysis easier. The only reason I'm making the assumption is because we were on a support level, and that's where all these large block trades came, which is why you can see that we actually sort of started going up again. Now right now the bad thing is that we are right on a resistance as well. So we have a support below, a horizontal support, but look at this 20 moving average, it's right above the current price, and the last 4 candles have not been able to break this price. And then we have another resistance here. So I would not recommend anyone to go bullish here until we actually cross these levels and maybe go above this level, because above this level the next resistance is around here. So that's a huge gap, and you always want these huge gaps between levels before you go in. Then we have RTX. This looks good. This actually had some huge block trades. I'll actually show you, right? So look at this 5.4. The price on 5.4 was around here, right? Around here. So this is where a lot of block trades came in, like huge volume here. So you can see the total sort of amount for block trades on May 4th was 256 million. That is a huge amount, and even right now you can see this increasing. So let's assume, since we are at all-time highs and we are trying to break out of this level, let's just assume that those are all again buyers. If those are all buyers, and we can see that this candle had high volume, this green candle had high volume as well, there is some accumulation going on. You can see this, let's see, this candle not so much, this candle sure, and then look at this candle, this was a red candle, so higher volume is there. But these two candles are slightly sort of bullish, and they sort of they're encouraging. So I actually like this for a breakout. I think we might actually break out soon, given sort of we have these huge block trades and the price is right on the cusp of a breakout. So I'll actually keep an eye on this one. I really like this price action, and I'll see if we actually break out of this level. Once we do, then that is just an awesome bullish setup. And then lastly, we have Snow. So Snow, you can see on 5.10 we had again huge block trade. This is why I always look at these, because these are awesome. So we had $200 million spent on a few, sort of a very small number of trades, and on 5.10 the price was at this point. So we have gone from, let's say, 200 to 235. So $35 increase in just about 10 to 15 days based on just this one signal. So always keep an eye on these block trades, the total number of the total amount spent on these block trades every day. When this increases significantly, keep an eye on the price action. We had a bottom here, so we had no support or any line here, but you can see that this was the bottom just based on these block trades. And the reason you might have thought that this is a bullish setup, or the block trades were actually biased, is because we had been going down for, let's say, months now. Why would anyone sell 100, let's say $200 million worth of shares at the very bottom? The people who are smart, they don't do that. When you are right at the very bottom, that's when they probably sort of start buying. They don't sell at the bottom. They're smart. They know a lot more than us, so we just need to follow them. And again, on RTX side, we are right at the cusp of a breakout, so maybe they're buying again because we are going to have a breakout soon, and then they'll earn a lot of money. So we are just trying to follow smart money here. We are not trying to do anything else. Our assumptions could be sometimes wrong. When they are, we just exit with a small loss, but when they are true, then we are going to have huge profits, just like Snow. So now I'm going to do something different. So we introduced a new bot this weekend, and the bot name is Interesting Flow. What it does right now is it looks at repeated flow for contracts where that single flow, that single contract constitutes a big chunk of the overall options flow. So let's say we have this MSTR put flow. The contract is strike for 400, expiration actually this weekend, and then total premium 300k, volume was decent as well. And what's happening is this single contract might contain about 20 or 30% of the total flow, which is why this came here by this board. So this is a really interesting board, and we have been meaning to build it for a few months. We believe that when you see repeated flow for a certain contract and huge amounts of premiums are being spent on that flow, then that flow might actually pan out very quickly. So let's say we have this strike of 400. Let's actually look at this contract and then go from there. So today, instead of going over some other stocks, we are just going to look at the price action of these stocks. And then next week, we are going to come back, let's say, and see how some of these panned out, because we are expecting that these are going to pan out really well. So let's couple them with price action just to increase our confidence. So let's look at MSTR. I have the live options flow tool open as well. So you can see for MSTR, there were a lot of put buys. The price right now was about 451. And you can see all day the price range between 470 to 451. And let's see what's happening with MSTR. Alright, so MSTR has been going down. So the high was 1300, but now it has been going down for quite a while. Let's just draw the levels. We have a level, support level at the price that we are at right now, and then we have this green candle, just one green candle. The volume was huge. That's a good thing. So you see, when you start to go in the reverse trend, you suddenly start seeing large volume. That's always good. That's a sign that maybe the bottom is near. But let me just clear that out. Looking at that flow, we can see that the price right now is at 450. And someone is expecting the price to go towards 400 within this week. Now, that's a $50 decrease in just 4 to 5 days. And someone, let's say, just paid 300k for those contracts. So that's a decent amount of money. So, and there were so many contracts, like that single contract. You can see that this is the entire flow for MSTR. And this single contract, 400 strike, this is 618, this 528. Actually constitutes about 50 to 60% of the total flow, although there is not much flow for MSTR. But just looking at that, what we are going to do is we are going to expect the price to go down. But we can't buy right here because we just saw that we have a support line right below the current price. So we don't sell here. So we can't sort of buy puts here. That's what I wanted to say. What you want to do is you want to wait until we actually break the support level. So this was, let's say, the previous support level, because this was the point where we actually broke this downtrend and started to in short term go up. But now what we need to do is, let's say this starts to pan out on Monday, on tomorrow. What we're going to do is we're going to wait for the price to break this level. As soon as it does, we are going to buy a put, because this contract is telling us to buy a put, and then just that put is going to increase in value because the price is going to decrease. So that's all there is to these signals. You can see that the distance between the strike and stock is about 50. So stock is at 450, the strike is 400. So we have a sort of a huge gap between the strike and stock price, and that's always good, because that means if the price moves towards the strike price, then you're going to have huge profits. So we are going to come back to this signal in a few days. We'll see what actually happens in the next few days. So that's MSTR, but there were only 5 orders for this. Let's try something bigger. So for an NCLH, there were actually 15 orders, and these orders constitutes about, let's say, more than 30 to 40% of the flow. That's the criteria that the board chooses. Then we can see strike is 30. Right now, stock is at 29, I believe, and the expiration is actually September. So what this contract is actually telling us is that by September, the price of NCLH might move from 29 to, let's say, above 30. And that's what we are going to expect, since the expiration date is actually a few months away. This is actually a much better swing setup than a short term, let's say 1 or 2 week setup. This is actually more like a 1 or 2 month setup, where what you can do is you can either buy calls for September or November or December or next year, or you can just buy shares and expect the price to go up. Let's actually take a look. So you can see that, okay, these are all the buys. 917. Stock was at 28, actually 28.9. And the strike was continuously 30, and a lot of money was spent on these contracts. Let's see what's there on the chart. All right, so on the chart, we can see that we are right above a resistance level. So this resistance level hasn't been holding really well because we just keep breaking it. So let's just remove it. Let's see if, okay, see, the algorithm did not draw this level as well. So we are right We are close to a resistance level, but you can see that resistance level is above 30. So someone is expecting the price to at least cross 30 in the next 1 or 2 months, and then maybe we cross this level as well and keep going up. But right now seems like a decent entry. This would probably be your exit because we have a support, and if we go below this level, this seems like a support level, then that would be your stop loss. But again, this is slightly longer term setup. We won't be able to come back in just a week and see what happened here, but still it seems like an interesting setup. You can see that we are actually above both 20 and 50 moving averages, and yeah, the volume on these green candles was slightly higher as compared to the volume on red candles, stuff like that. So this looks okay. There is nothing sort of significant going on here, but just based on the premiums that we can see here, I really like this setup. All right, this is BYND. We have a call, so the strike and stock is actually not that much, so I'll still take a look at this. All right, so we have some put flow as well, but then we have more call flow. You can see a lot of 110 call flow. So again, what I want to see is when I want to look at a call, then I don't want to see all these put buys. So just because I'm seeing all of these here, I'm going to skip this because there are calls, but there are also so many put buys, put sells, puts going on. Put sells is obviously a bullish signal, but I just want to find easy setups, especially for these videos. I don't want to dig deep into what these call sells and put sells are, so we'll just skip this. Let's see. So we have Sono. So Sono has been coming in some of our AI signals as well for quite a few days. So although the total premiums are low, I just want to sort of analyze this. So let's see what Sono did. So all right, almost a lot of call buys, and then we have a few call sells as well. All right, let's see how is Sono doing. So Sono is actually not doing good. So last week we had some signals right at these sort of at this bottom, and those signals worked really well. But now someone has spent some money expecting the price to actually cross above these moving averages, let's say, and go somewhere to 40. Let's see if that actually happens. But the contracts are for next year, so again, it's a very long-term contract. There is nothing significant to see there, so I'll skip that as well. MT 5 orders, total premiums are not that high. At C, so this looks good. The total premiums are 821k, that's close to 1 million, that's good. Strike distance from stock is $10, that's good again. And then we had 11 orders. So let's take a look. And then this is also a short-term contract, so this is expiring next month. I like that. Those are some of the signals that I want to see. All right, so you can see mostly we have a few put buys, but mostly it's just calls. Puts are being sold, so again a bullish signal. And then we have a lot of call buys here. So okay, this looks nice. We have only one put buy here, but everything else is sort of a call. So that's good because about 50 to 60% of the total contracts are actually call buys, and all of those call buys are for a single contract, 180 strike, June 18, right? Yeah, June 18. Yeah. So let's take a look at Etsy. So what we are going to do here, since we have sort of we have made everything easy for you. You just look at the signal from the board and you look at the price action. You don't even need to analyze this. Let's see how the price action looks, because this looks interesting to me, and even without looking at the price action, I would want to buy at least 1 or 2 contracts for this because of sort of $1 million being spent on these 180 calls. I'd expect the price to move towards 180 strike so that my contracts can increase in price as well, and then I'll sell for profits. All right, so what do we see here? There are 2 things here. So one is that we had a gap down, right? And if you have watched some of our other videos, you'll know that markets really like to fill these gaps. And so what we are going to expect is that the market is going to fill the gap. We have one support level here. So a good thing is that we have a support level right below the current price. We do have a support level here as well. We broke this support level on this candle. On this candle, we broke the support level. Now we have fallen right on it again. We do have the moving average resistance right sort of above it, but that's close to $180. So what we'll expect is we'd expect the price to go from here to somewhere around this region in the next 20 to 25 days. Yes, somewhere around this region. Maybe it starts going back again, but we don't care. What we want is we want the price to go to 180 in the next, let's say, 14 to 20 days, and that's a signal. We are just trying to follow smart money here. We are not trying to sort of add anything from our own. We are only using price action to confirm the play, and then we are just going into it. So actually seems like something that I'd love to try, because I think we are actually hopefully going to make a move to the upside. If we don't, I'll just obviously exit with a small stop loss. We have BLDR 4 orders only, so I won't go into it. 145k, 351, 259. We have vote. Okay, 2 million spent, but the strike distance from stock price is very low. Let's quickly look at this. I don't think there is anything interesting here. So yeah, so this is going to, let's say, reach 19, right? Yeah, 19. The distance between the stock price and the strike price is just too low. So I'll just skip this because the profit potential is not there. Then CCJ. So this, again, uranium is something that has been attracting a lot of people. So we have these call buys, but again, not much money being spent here. But I really like uranium's price action. So you can see we had a breakout from this level at this candle. You can see the volume increase, and then we went back and we went up again, and now we are sort of slightly above that breakout. So I'll expect the price to maybe settle here and then keep going up again. So although they are not the premiums here are not that high, I still like this setup. So I'm going to skip this 2023. I don't want to sort of go that far. This is okay, 400k, 0.36, so I'm just going to skip it. We want this value to be high because then the profit potential is much higher. 1.36, this looks good, but let's see. All right, so for some reason our stocks dashboard does not have data for this stock, so I'll skip it and I'll add data for the stock. ATOS, so again, this has been something that has been in the news. This sort of is a booming stock, so let's see what's happening with this one. And you might ask, oh, if the distance is only 0.74, why am I looking at this? That's because the stock is right now is at about $3. So from 3 to 4, that's a huge increase in terms of percentage, and that means a lot of profit potential. So this looks okay. There is nothing again special going on here. You can see that we are at a resistance. That's what's going on here. There were 4 days that we tried to break this resistance level. We could not do it, but someone is still spending a lot of money expecting this level to break in the next 15 to 20 days. So let's see if actually if that happens or not. So I'm going to go back to this contract because I think this is going to pan out. People are spending 600k on call contracts. That's not just one person, or that's not a small amount of money. It's a decent amount of money. So I'd expect the price to go towards 4. And we actually have a strike 6 as well. So someone is also expecting the price to reach 6. Some people are expecting the price to reach 4 from 3.2, and then some people are also expecting the price to reach 6. So that we have 2 signals for the same stock. This is something that I'm really interested in. I'm going to trust the options flow, and let's say I'm going to buy a contract here. MDT again next year, I'll skip it. 313. No, I want to look for something. NCR. This is short-term contract, but the distance between strike and stock is low. This is again long-term contract. This is again long-term, but premiums are good here. CVAC. Okay, so this looks good. Okay, so there were 8 orders today for puts. Strike is 80. The stock price right now is at about 110, which is why there is this huge difference between the stock and strike, and the premiums were good too. So let's take a look at this. All right, there are a few call buys, but then there are so many put buys for 80, for 120. So let's just ignore these because these are in the money. So we have 80. So yeah, there were quite a few orders on 80 strike price while the stock price is at 110. So that just means that maybe someone is expecting the price to drop by a huge amount in the next few weeks. Let's look at the price action. All right, we don't have this stock as well, and I don't like that. So what I'm going to do is right after this video, I'm going to add the stock to our website, and then we'll be able to figure out its price action. So I apologize for this. But this is something that I'd like to sort of keep an eye on, because I think this is the stock and strike price difference is just huge. So I'd expect the stock price to move towards strike price. Let's take a look at one more. I believe XP seemed good. So $5 million, and the distance between stock and strike is decent as well. All right, look at all those call buys. So this is something that I don't even need to look at the price action, maybe, because you see this light orange color. If you look at the colored explanation, you will see that the premiums are high and the order is filled above ask, which means someone is urgent and someone is extremely confident that the play is going to work, which is why they are willing to pay a price above ask. So just looking at this, I'm just going to, let's say, buy a contract, and I'm not even sort of going to worry about price action, because there is like $7 or $8 increase that's left from the current stock price. So you just buy a contract for August and you just leave it. You don't do anything else. You want to follow the smart money. But if you want to look at the price action, sure, we can do that. And you can see that we have this anchored VWAP support that we are hovering over. So price action looks okay. We are at a support. We'll hopefully not close below it. I think we have a support level as well, right? 1, 2, 3, actually 4. So this seems like a perfect setup. Hopefully we come back to this in 1 or 2 months, and then we'll see how this one has panned out. But this is something that I might pick a contract as well tomorrow. So that's it for this week's stocks recap. I really wanted to go over our board to find some interesting setups that I can share in the video, and then I can share with our Discord members as well. So hopefully you will find something useful out of this video. You'll find some good stocks to trade, some good options contracts to trade. Let me know if there is any feedback. I apologize for those stocks not appearing in the stocks dashboard. What happens is sometimes the vendor messes up some data, because of which there is an error on the back end, and then I have to fix it manually. So again, my apologies for those two stocks. But other than that, I hope this was a useful video for everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys around.